Hey guys, another top 10 list. Finally, I can get back to these. I got a lot planned for the rest of this year. In fact, I'm taking suggestions, so by all means, keep sending them in. I've had some great ones. In fact, I've had one surprise one I'll try to squeeze in before the end of the year. One about replay value in games. That'll be a good one. But I've got a lot planned to last me until Christmas at the very least. So already we're doing the one today, which is the top 10 games I've warmed up to. But I've still got top 10 middleweight games possibly to do. I've still got top 10 of 2018 retrospective to do. I've got top 10 of 2019 to do. I've mentioned the replay value one, so I mean those are going to keep me going until like probably November, December time anyway. Oh, and top 10 hidden gems I've got to do next time. So it's quite a few there, but you know, it's good to have quite a few in reserve, shall we say, considering the top 100 took a lot of my time. But thank you for watching it. The videos are getting a lot of views, a lot of positive response, so take a break before next year, but at least now I can get back to some normal top 10s. So top 10 games that I've warmed up to in my little black book of loveliness. What does this mean? Well, it's different to simply saying top 10 games that got better, because I can think of a lot of games I love where the game just gets better and better every time I play it. That's not kind of what this list is about. This is more a case of, alright, these are games that I didn't love a lot when I first played them, or I hated them when I first played them, but then over time, maybe more plays, maybe like a revised edition has come out, or an expansion, or some other factor has occurred where I now go, well, you know what, it's alright, it's not bad, or I like it, or I love it. You know, there's some of them have got some pretty big transitions, although looking at this, there's only one or two I can think of where I go, oh yeah, I love this game, you know, but most of them are kind of like, oh, I hated this game, oh, this drives me up the wall, or this is a rubbish game, and now I'm like, yeah, you know what, it's okay, I'll play it, I give it respect. So maybe this will please some of you out there who hate on me for hating on your favourite game, but we'll see. There's probably still going to be a few, quick little bullets fired here and there. So without further ado, there's not much else to really talk about caveat-wise. It's pretty much free range from this point. In terms of the ranking, it's more a case of how big the impact was, as opposed to how much I love it now. So, you know, did I hate it and now just sort of think it's okay, or did I hate it and now love it? You know, it's that wide gap to consider. It's a little dark in here, I admit. I'm doing this late at night, and I can only do so much with I'm counting 5 lights.
There are 4 lights!
It's difficult to get light into an aperture of a wide lens camera. But oh well, I couldn't wait till the weekend when it was daylight in order to get this done. I wanted to do it now so I could release this on the weekend. Because I think you guys have been long enough since the top 100 without a top 10, especially with all the reviews I've been doing. So anyway, let's get going. Now obviously I'm not going to be able to show and tell a huge amount of these because, well, I don't own a lot of these games, okay? I mean, I respect them, I don't mind them, but that doesn't mean they're going to hit my collection. This one, in fact, does, though. I thought, well, this is okay, I like polyomino-style games, but this one seems a little bit heavy for what it is. I don't know if I think it's entirely balanced, you know, I feel like I like it, but I need more plays, I need to give it a bit more time. And this one is a gem for some people. A Feast for Odin, and you know, this is the Norwegians expansion, and this is one of the big reasons why it's on this list, even though it only just about hit number 10. Because I didn't hate it before, I just thought, well, it's alright, but everyone's going on about it. What am I missing here? What is here that I'm just not seeing to make it great? Slowly but surely as I played the base set more, despite the balance issues it has, it's like, oh, actually, nah. I enjoy this. I don't want to ever teach it, but you know, I'm enjoying it when I play it with friends and that, and it was enjoyable. It even pipped my top 100 slightly. It's now higher up my top 100 though because of this Norwegians expansion. It fixes a lot of the balance issues I had before. You know, not entirely, you know, the game's not exactly level entirely, but it does like finally make animals worthwhile going for. It gives you some like starting sheds that you can build that are entirely yours and unique. It gives more islands to go to, you know, it balances out the whole exploration and emigration thing, and still gives you more options to do with regards to what, you know, worker placement and all that. So it's definitely, I think if you're a fan of the game, a must buy to get Norwegians, but it's a bit of a mission to go, oh, hang on a minute, so I got to integrate this with this and this with this. I don't know, but it's gone from a game that I kind of thought was okay, goodish, but I needed to know more, to a game I really like. I now really enjoy playing Feast for Odin if you have Norwegians involved. I'll still play it with the base set, but you really want Norwegians. And I know it's hard for a lot of you to get. You know, it's not easy to find, it's a difficult one. Z-Man doesn't know how to print copies of games, but hopefully by the end of the year you'll see this reprinted, maybe at Essen if you're lucky, but you know, just give it time, give it patience. Sooner or later you'll hopefully be able to get this again, and once you do, get it. But number 9 is a game that's a similar case. I mean, I now quite like this one. Not enough to make my top 100, but it could possibly make my top 200 or top 250. It's still a game I quite enjoy. But at first I'm like, well, this seems a little bit naff and just way too long for what it is. You know, and I didn't like the original Machikoro, but Space was supposed to be like, oh yeah, this is the Machikoro killer. You know, this will be the one you want to play. So I played it and thought, okay, this is fine, but you know, I'm literally reliant on the dice, and this game is taking forever. I mean, I got to wait for 4 people to go around, you know, because I got roped into a 5-player game, and again, just because you could doesn't mean you should. But 5 players is not a number I want to play with this game. But the problem is that scaling is a bit of an issue, because when you flip the card, you get a replacement card and you flip it over so that it triggers on other people's turns. If you've got only a couple of players, then those powers don't trigger anywhere near as often. But if you've got more players, they will trigger more often. But then you got to wait for all the players to hurry up and do their turn. It's like playing this with anybody who's remotely AP does my head in. But even then, I'd rather cap this at about, 4 players I would cap it as. 3 would be preferable, 2 maybe a bit too few. But 3 or 4 players, you know, that is my ideal way. But with more plays, you know, when I've played it with people who know what they're doing and don't AP like crazy, I've actually got a bit of a kick out of this game, you know. Not enough to own it, but I like playing it when it comes around, and I felt good one time where I was actually able to win with the I win card. You know, the one that just automatically gives you the game. I did some like cool shenanigans where I got the ship that allows you to swap 2 cards around. So I got it, swapped it with a card that was on number 5, and then used the thing again and swapped it with the I win card that was on my number 12. So it's on my 5 space. But to go with that, I was also picking up cards that triggered cube generation on other people's turns, and then on my turn I was able to take those cubes and move them onto the I win card. It took a long time to do, and I nearly lost the game just by sheer lack of victory points, because I was not getting any victory points at all. But I saw the I win card and I thought, I'm going to make this work, and I did. As I surprised everybody. It's like, oh no, Luke's going to beat us, and 47 or whatever it is, like, you know, just a few shy of the victory condition. I win. Card said so. That felt pretty good. But yeah, the game is decent, and I would like to play it with the expansion, with people who know what they were doing. You know, the Shy Pluto, whatever it's called, and the new one looks pretty sweet as well. Maybe one day I will get this game. You know, it's gone up in my expectations a lot more since I first played it. But again, I would still probably cap the player count. As I say, just that smidgen higher than Feast for Odin. I was kind of umming and ahhing whether one would be 10 than the other. But Space Base is now a game I quite like, compared to when I wasn't that big on it before. My number 8 I really didn't like when I first played it. Now I kind of respect it. I will play it. I think the new edition of it has kind of helped. It's streamlined 1 or 2 things and balanced out some of the occupation cards. But I still hold, and I will still stand by this argument, that Caverna completely kicks the booty of Agricola. You motherfucker! But I have warmed up to Agricola a bit more. I still have problems with it, but I really wasn't a fan of it when I first played it, because there was 2 to 3 things that really irked me. Firstly, the occupation cards were out of balance, like completely. You know, if you got something like the fishing one or a couple of others, then you had an easier time than somebody who got some weird, obscure one. Secondly, I hated the fact, and I still hate the fact, that points are capped. So I can't have all the vegetables in the world and get a ton of points. No, I can only get up to like 4 veg worth of points. And the same with all the animals and all the grain and everything else. It's just like, well, that means we're just all doing the same thing by the end of the game. Nobody's got any differentiation apart from the occupations. So that soured me a bit. And I also hated that you lost a gazillion points for not getting at least one of something else. So, you know, I could be the whole game going, well, I don't care about vegetables. I'm doing farming animals. But at the end of the day, like, when you get to the last round, you're like, fine, I'll put a worker on there and get a single pumpkin just to shove in my farm, which doesn't make any sense from a thematic perspective, because it's like, if I wasn't growing veg, why do I suddenly need to grow a single veg at the end of the game just to not lose 2 points? It just got a bit annoying. And on top of that, just thought as well, you had to the feed your people was too constrictive, and you had to get a large family. I mean, if you missed out on getting family members, you were screwed, because you just would not be able to do enough actions to do well. Like I say, very restricted, very punishing, but nowadays I still respect the game. I still think, look, Agricola is not a bad game. It just does a few things that irk me the wrong way. I still will get up and say, look, if you like Agricola more than Converner, I won't necessarily agree with it, but I'm perfectly happy for you to like Agricola, because Agricola is a decent game. And you could convince me to play it. I'd be like, you know what, there's 3 of us, I fancy a game of Agricola. Something a bit more heavy, well, something a bit more, tighter, I guess. Because I do miss those occupation cards. Those occupation cards are cool. And in the new edition, they're a little bit more balanced, even though not entirely. But I have never played Farmers of the Moor. Maybe that makes life better, I don't know. But although I hear that as much as it gives you cool stuff, it also makes life harder to actually heat your house in that. So it's like, oh great, as if it needed to be more punishing. But I'd like to try Farmers of the Moor and see what it's like. But I'll still play the original Agricola every now and again. If someone offers it on the table, then, with 3 players max, 4 tops if you know what you're doing. It does take a while. 5, does it go up to 5? I'm not sure, but I would never try it with 5. I will still occasionally go, you know what, it's a farming game. I like this theme. You're building something up in front of you. I like that kind of thing. But yeah, the whole punishing and restrictedness of it, and the fact that they still make you have to get family members, otherwise you lose. There are some bits that still irk me. But Agricola still gets my respect at number 8. My number 7, I actively hated when I first played this, and I've got friends of mine who run Dice Portsmouth. My mate Ricky, he adores this game, and I still don't know exactly why. I still think it's got some problems, particularly the base set. I've not played the in space version, but I have tried the expansions to this, and they have improved matters. Maybe just better cards or a better system, but he really goes on about Clank. He's teaching it all the time, he loves it to bits, but when I first played it, I really didn't see a great deal about it, because I like deck builders when they're pure deck builders. This one's another one of those occasions where it's another game and they bolt deck building onto it, although with Clank, not so much compared to some others ones, like Great Western Trail. And trust me, Great Western Trail is not making this list, alright? I have not warmed up to that. If anything, I have cooled and frozen on that one. But this one, okay, deck building is quite a big thing in the game. It's not just, it's this movement on the map and then deck building. It feels like it's more the core is deck building with this other little bit attached. But when I first played it, I thought, well, okay, you could spend all the time going in the cave, or you could go to the middle, or you could get the first thing and rush out. So I was like, I'm going to try the rush tactic. So I went in, grabbed the first thing, rushed out, and I thought, okay, I did that pretty quickly. Everybody else has gone fairly deep, hasn't really got much, I can do this. I was then told that I had to wait 6 turns, doing absolutely nothing, while I wait for the game timer to go down and have everybody else take a bunch of turns. And in those 6 turns, it was stupidly easy for them to just basically casually walk up to the top and either get out or close enough to the exit so that the dragon didn't eat them. Because for whatever reason, and I still stand by this problem with this game, the dragon is about as effectual as a chocolate teapot. It does nothing. I've never seen the dragon eat more than one person in ever. And that person was deep down and pretty much dead anyway. And I think he was quite unlucky with the cues. But most of the time, I just see this dragon go, and go back to sleep. It's useless. But people sort of comment that, I've had it eat half my party, or our whole party got wiped by it. And it's like, maybe I'm just really lucky. Maybe I just know how to keep myself from making a lot of noise. I don't know. But the dragon has never eaten me once. It's never even come close. The base map actually has too many ways to heal yourself. But the expansion maps, I noticed, didn't. So there was a bit more tense on those ones, like the underwater one, and there's a new one with a tomb, I think, or something like that, I can't remember. But the expansion maps are actually quite cool for this game. And I wouldn't mind trying Clank Legacy. It looks quite neat, but it's not one I'm going to buy myself, so don't expect me to review it. But if someone has it and wants me to go through a campaign with them, I'd be, pretty keen on it. So it's not like I love this game or anything, but I've grown to sort of go, you know what? I see it for what it is. It's still a deck builder, and I still really like the deck building aspect. It still entertains me. I just have to accept that the dragon is not quite the pinnacle of death and destruction that I thought it was going to be, and I just know never to do the rush tactic ever again. Fine, I'll go a bit deeper into the cave this time. I usually tend to go about halfway, get a couple of things and then come out. Occasionally I'll go super deep, but depends what cards I've got. Sometimes I just like to build an awesome deck and not worry about the cave itself, but I would never, ever do a rush tactic again. And as such, the game has gone up a bit in my expectations. I still think he lords over it a bit too much, my friend, but like I say, I don't think it's a bad game by any means, and a lot of people like it, so fair play. My number 6, I actually can show and tell you because it's on the floor waiting for me to pick it up. This game I sort of liked when I first played it. I wasn't that into it. I thought, it's okay. I mean, I'll give it, I think it's average. You know, it's one that I'll play every now and again. And this was a pure deck builder. So, you know, for me to not like a pure deck builder, it's like, oh God, what's wrong with this? Why does it feel a bit unbalanced, feel a bit quick? I don't know. And I played it a bit more. And then very quickly, I think with some expansions or maybe just some more plays and the app, which when it works, it's brilliant. You know, the app has had some technical issues lately, I've noticed, but generally I like the app. And it's allowed me to play many games of this on flights, you know, across the UK and domestic travel on trains. So I've managed to get a bit more experience with it, get better at the game, and just appreciate it because at the end of the day, it's a gorgeous looking deck builder. And this is, oh, if I can get it up here. Star Realms. Yeah, I now have a universal storage box for this game. So, it's gone from a game that I thought was okay to a game that I love. If you've watched my top 100, this is in the top 50, I believe. It's a game I really like now. I mean, besides just staring at the gorgeous artwork, which I literally could have a whole room with nothing but Star Realms artwork. I mean, people keep going on about that. You know, oh, I prefer the art in Hero Realms. Why? It's just generic fantasy, and we've seen these pictures of it. Not bad artwork, but come on, this shiny, colourful space stuff. You know, I love that kind of artwork. I mean, where's Empires of the Void 2? It's somewhere. Is it in the other room? Oh, good question. Where is that? Oh no, right there. You know, that game's got such gorgeous space artwork. You know, and this one, I love it too. All these cool pictures. Okay, the theme's pasted on like you wouldn't believe, but it does make for a pretty looking game. But I do like this game. I mean, it's a pure deck builder. It's quick, particularly on the app. And as I say, I've gotten lots more plays, and just since the start where I remember going, this is okay, I'll hang on to a 10 quid box, and I won't be too fussed if I play it every now and again. Now I'm like, oh, I want to play it in group battles. I want to do like 2v2 and that. Sadly, I don't know many people who play this game, so it's a bit problematic in that respect, especially when I forked out for the Frontiers Kickstarter. But the solo adventures, the ones that you can do here with just your own deck, I really like. You know, you might be defending from a fleet, you might be attacking this giant space monster, you might be closing this rip in reality, you might be just trying to mine stuff. It's lots of different scenarios for the solo games, and the more they bring out of those, the better, because they're ones that I can play and enjoy. But I still like playing the app, you know, and I'm including app plays when I think of these games, you know, because apps count. You know, they're here, technology is with us, deal with it. But, you know, I've got the cards here, so if somebody wants to play a 2-player game of Star Realms, or somebody wants to do a 2v2 or Hydra or whatever it's called in that, then by all means, I got the case. I need to bring it to more game nights, I think. So, Star Realms. It's gone from average to, oh yes, I love it. My number 5 is a classic 2-player game, I would say, although technically you can play it with more players, but the fact that I originally played it with more players, and typically end up playing it with more players, is why this game was not one that I was a big fan of. You know, the iconography was confusing them on all get out. You know, you had to basically like take a test every time you started playing the game. And it just felt very random. It felt like you just kind of did everything. And obviously you would get wailed on by anybody who knew the game slightly. And that is Race for the Galaxy. You know, but now I actually like the game, not enough to like want it in my top 100 or in a collection or anything, but the problem I had with this game was that I kept playing it as a 4-player game. That's how, you know, there was 4 of us there and they wanted to play it. I don't think this game works at all with 4. In fact, I don't even think it works that well with 3. You know, I feel that this game is much better as a 2-player game. And when I've played it as a 2-player game, it's been really good and enjoyable. And it all comes down to the actions that you got to do in that first phase. Because with 4 players, you know, you've got the settle, develop, and shipping and tech or whatever, I forget what the actions are. But with 4 of you, you might as well just expect that most of the actions are going to get done. You know, there'll be duplication, but for the most part, you'll expect that your action will get done once at some point because there's too many people putting in the cards. But with 2 players, different story. Because now you really have to get into your opponent's head and think, is he going to settle or is he going to start shipping now? I don't know. Is maybe production? What can he do? But if he does that, then I'm not going to get to do this, so maybe I should take that action. But then, could he be taking the action, in which case I'm wasting a chance? You know, I would like to do both. And there's a lot of that thinking in 2 players, and that I was thinking, oh yeah, this is actually a pretty sweet game. Still could use a bit of a graphic design overhaul, you know, the iconography is still all over the shop, but compared to when I used to play it with 4 players, I'm like, this is kind of alright, but it's boring, it's just a bit random, and I'm losing every single game because it's not impossible to win it against the 2 people I know who play it, because they're just veterans at it compared to me. But when we were doing 2-player ones, it's like, okay, I would lose the vast majority of the time. I mean, I don't think of myself as an expert at this game by any means, but it was just a lot more enjoyable. A bit like how with Raptor, which is behind me, I believe, down there, you know, with that one, it's a 2-player game and you've got to get into your opponent's head with the cards they're going to play. Similar here, you know, different cards, different game, but it's still that same get in your opponent's head, and I like that in 2-player games. So, Race for the Galaxy started off pretty low down on my list, and now, providing you cap it at 2 players, it's actually like, you know what, if it was easier to get to the table and it had a bit of a graphic design overhaul, I'd probably want to get it in my collection. My number 4 was probably, I would say it was the biggest biggest climb in terms of like where it started from. This was a game that started literally at the bottom of the barrel. I mean, literally like dive into this barrel, maybe like lose yourself in there and lick up some of the residue that's at the bottom of the barrel after it's been empty for about 10 years. And then you would get my first impressions of Brass.
You're going to burn in a very special level of hell.
And yes, I know, everybody adores Brass. Everybody's like, oh, Brass is so amazing. Oh, I love it. Oh, Brass. Oh, cleanse me, Brass.
Right.
But, oh, for crying out loud, they just go goo-goo gaga over this game. And no, Brass Birmingham is not a solo different game. It is a reprint expansion. It did not deserve to be in any awards, for crying out loud. But, you know, I digress. That really irked me when it got award nominations for being effectively the same game but with beer. You know, come on. But, and people will kill me for that one as well. But the thing is, when I first played Brass, I was faced with that god-awful, ugly-looking old version. And I'm sorry, whether you like Brass or not, you've got to admit, the old version looked like crap.
If that is a woman, it does look like she was beaten with an ugly stick.
It was horrible. You know, and worse still, I tried to learn it via the app. Have you tried the Brass app? It is horrific. Not only are you stuck with that god-awful graphic design and artwork and all that lot, but it has one of the worst interfaces and one of the worst tutorials for any board game port I have ever seen. It is a 1 out of 10 wordy app. You know, you do not learn jack about how to play the game, or what tactics you need to do, or what the AI is doing at any particular time. And it just really soured me on the game. I mean, I did play the tabletop version as well, and I was thinking, this is boring, it's just Industrial Revolution, and it looks like crap, and I got no idea what's going on, and I really, really hated it. You know, so bad. And then Roxley Games decided to bring the reprint out, and I'm like, oh great, it's back, whatever. Until I saw the cover. Yeah, that's one of my favourite board game covers that you can get, the Brass Lancashire one, and it's like, okay, I want to look in more detail, and I saw it was a fantastic production, absolutely gorgeous artwork. I want this artist to work again on some of the games I would love. And I looked at it and I thought, okay, if you're going to take a game with a dull theme, I'm sorry, it's an Industrial Revolution, it's dull, yeah, and mining coal and cotton would be, but, you know, if you're going to take a dull theme like that, and an economic game, which is not exactly a fun mechanic either, you know, then this is the way you do it. They really brought it up. And such, I played it, I reviewed it, and I gave it a 6. And I thought, this is alright, you know what? I'm not going to seek it out. I don't love it. I still have irks with it. I still think it's one of the most boring themes ever. But I respect it now. You know, if people like it, I can say, you know what? I can see why. There's definitely a lot of good strategic thinking in there. There's some tactical opportunities you have to, you know, take advantage of. It looks gorgeous. It's well, you know, it's well drawn. It's well produced. Those clay chips are fantastic. And, you know, it's fairly streamlined compared to the old one. I mean, not like, oh, it's easy to learn. There's still a fair bit you got to absorb, but it just felt a bit smoother. And it didn't take as long. You know, I mean, it still can take a ridiculous amount of time sometimes, but for the most part, I found, well, some people I know and, you know, who haven't played the game that long are still able to get this done within about 2.5 hours. And it's like, that's not bad. Or even 2 hours. You know, any less with 4 players. Yeah, right. But, you know, 2 to 2.5 hours for a 4-player sort of heavy game, I'm like, you know what, that's fine. I'm cool with it. And I have played Birmingham. I think Birmingham is best. Well, I think Lancashire is the best one to teach because I think the beer just basically adds another way to get screwed over. Because one problem I have with Brass is that the pseudo knockout thing is pretty high. If you start off bad in Brass, you're done. There's no way you'll catch up. You will not do well at the game if you start off badly. And Birmingham basically goes, oh, by the way, you could get screwed by that and that and that before. Now you can get screwed by beer, which is why every time I play Brass Birmingham, I pretty much always focus on breweries, because then I don't have that problem anymore. Or occasionally coal and iron. I never take manufactured goods because I swear they are underpowered like crazy. I've never seen anybody do well with manufactured goods. The weird one in the middle I don't quite get. It just doesn't seem worth it. Cotton is still pretty cool, but I'm just like, you know what? I want people to use my stuff. So breweries or coal and iron, that's how I play Brass. But, you know, I give the game props. They really did a good job with the reprint, and from like, I hate it, oh, vomit-inducing, to a game I respect and was willing to give a 6. I mean, maybe I would cool down and give it a 5 now, but maybe a 6, I don't know. If someone suggests it and I've got a choice between that and some other game that I'm not as big a fan of, or like choice with 2 heavy Euros, I might be like, you know what? I'll give Brass another go. It's probably one of the better economic games out there that I have played. And even though I'm not usually a fan of economic games, although saying that, Predaporto 3rd edition is sitting on the table opposite me and I've read the rules and it's like, you know what? This could be a fun economic game for me. So look forward to getting that played on the weekend. But yeah, I give Brass props. Hated it at first. Now I give it respect. Although it's still not a brand new game, you stupid awards. My number 3 is a game that now I kind of... Well, I didn't hate it at first. I mean, I wasn't a fan of the game, and I still think it's overrated beyond all get out, especially how high it is in the top 10 of Board Game Geek. But I have had games where I've enjoyed this one. One expansion that came out has helped this a lot. In fact, it has helped it so much I believe it is a mandatory include. A variant rule that was introduced in one of the later expansions, also I believe is a mandatory do. And granted, when I have played the game where somebody doesn't use that variant rule, I've actually disliked the game. It's gone on way too long because it used to go on way too long for what is effectively a mid-weight drafting game with a lot of luck involved. Yeah, Terraforming Mars. You know, I really wasn't a fan of it when I first played it. The base set, the components looked horrible, the artwork wasn't that great, it was like still pictures for some of it and then just bad art for others. And then it was like 3.5 hours longer sometimes to play like a full-length game of this, and I'm just like, why am I playing a drafting game for this long? I'll just go play Seven Wonders or half the other drafting games that don't take this long. And I really just didn't get everybody's love for it. Nowadays, I still don't get everybody's love for it, don't get me wrong, but it's on that kind of level where I sort of respect it at kind of similar length to Brass, but I have had games of this where I have enjoyed it. But the problem is that this is a very fragile setup. If you set it up and play it in this particular way, I will actually play it and probably enjoy it, and I have done with friends. But if you don't play it this certain way, chances are I'm not going to like it. It's either going to have, you know, the wrong stuff in it, or it's not going to have enough, or it's going to take so long that I'm just going to get bored in downtime waiting for these slowpoke people to take their 2 actions. Like, 2 actions is so hard to do when you've got all the time in the world to plan for it. And, you know, even with drafting, you know, luck of the draw played a big factor. So, the way I love to do it, firstly, you need Prelude. If Prelude is not being used, I'm not playing Terraforming Mars. I'm sorry. You need that player differentiation for 2 reasons. One, you all feel the same pretty much in Terraforming Mars. Whoopie-doo, I get microbes, I get animals. It's still cubes on the card, whatever. But with the Prelude, you get a starting setup, and it really does distinguish a path for you, or it gives you that cool distinction. On top of that, because it gets gives you some starting stuff to get going, it shaves off like 2 or 3 generations in the game, so the game's cut by like 15-20 minutes. Fantastic. Plus even longer. I would just happily play Terraforming Mars with Prelude and nothing else, and that would be just about perfect. However, you also have to cap it at 3 players. 4 is too much, 5 is too much, it's just too long to wait downtime wise when I'm there going, that action, done. You want to play on with timer while I wait for this guy to hurry up and do his move? You know, it's, drives me nuts. Especially when your 2 actions are literally just, I'll put a cube on this card and I'll put a cube on this card. Theme, whatever. It's, you know, it does irk me on those ones. But I don't mind colonies. Colonies, I think, has got a good mechanic in it. The problem is colonies adds length to the game. So I'm happy with Prelude and colonies, but you have to use the variant that it has in the book. The variant being that if you use multiple expansions, at the end of every generation, the first player gets to up one of the parameters, oxygen, water, or lakes, for free by 1. That should have been in the base game. In fact, I will play that with the base game on its own. Because, again, it shortens the length. The game is too long for what it is, end of discussion. It, you know, and that does my head in. So Prelude is a mandatory include. I like colonies. I still think it's badly balanced with the way you sail your ship, because you've got 3 ways to do it. Money, titanium, and power. When has anybody ever paid credits to sail their ship? When has anybody ever paid titanium to sail their ship? It's always power. Power is the easiest thing to get hold of for colonies. You know, it's much easier to get hold of power than it is the other 2. But, you know, I digress. So, as I said, Venus is okay. I mean, the floaters were weird and the track kind of doesn't mean a lot. I mean, I played a game where I did nothing but Venus stuff, and that was actually good fun. I literally maximized the Venus track solo, and I had a bunch of weird cards in front of me, but that's because I was able to draw a lot of them, and, you know, I think Prelude helped me with that as well. You know, but yeah, you can, Venus I can take or leave, it's just more cards. The new maps, I don't really care. I mean, they're barely any different from the original map. And I'm a bit worried about this turmoil that's coming out, because it just looks like it's going to take this game that's already too long, already a bit overdone, and just turn it up to 12 in terms of complexity and length. You know, I am really scared about that expansion. But, like I say, I give it a bit more respect. I still think it shouldn't be in the top 10 of BGG. I still think it's overrated beyond all get out. I still think the components need a serious upgrade in a core retail edition, not just when somebody pays £100 to upgrade their game. But, you know, play it with the right thing. 3 players, Prelude and colonies. I actually have good times with this game. Sadly, it's trying to get everybody to play the format of Prelude, colonies, and using the variant, because you always get those people who want to play it old school, and then it sucks. You know, it's a fragile one, but it was high enough to make this list considerably at my number 3. My number 2 is the last one that I can do for a show and tell, and this one I'm not quite as bad as Brass, but I did sort of think, what is this? It looks bad, this pyramid thing is annoying, there's like, I hate shaking it, it's a complete luck fest, and yeah, I'm just not a fan of this game at all. I just don't really get it. And nowadays, with a brand new 2nd edition from Eggertspiel, and just getting more accustomed to the game and realizing, yeah, you know what, this is actually what the game is meant to be. I went into it wrong, here's a better way to approach it, and obviously a much better production always helps. Camelot 2nd edition. Yes, this is in, I don't think it made my top 100, but it almost did. It was in my like 100 and something, like 110s, 100 like normal hundreds, but it almost made the top 100 because I do get a kick out of playing this now. Camelot is just a straight up luck fest at the end of the day, but you treat it as such. You know, the production quality in this is off the charts. It's much bigger, much more like colorful, better artwork. The pyramid's made out of plastic, not cardboard, you know, and it works better. You've got the camels that go backwards that are a pretty good laugh. But yeah, I actually do enjoy playing this one now. The fact that it can go up to 8 players with some partnership rules, you know, is a plus as well, because then I can bring it to a game night and play it with a bunch of new players to the club, you know, a gateway game. But yeah, occasionally I'll just be like, you know what, I just fancy a fun betting game with some silly little theme, you know. I mean, I got snow tails with husky dogs and stuff, you know, and I pinned up my downforce, wherever it is, with where did I put Downforce? I'm not sure, but you know, I pimped that up with Mario Kart Monopoly racing figures or something, and it's like, I like these cheesy things with racing games. I enjoy a good racing game. This one, yeah, you're not directly racing the camels, but there was just something about it that I thought, like, you know what, I appreciate it now. I like it a lot. You know, it almost made my top 100, and it was pretty low down before, so it certainly has taken a bit of a climb. But a lot of it went into the second edition. It just looks a lot better. If you have the first edition, this is one of those times when I say you need to sell that and get this edition. Because yes, it's mostly the same game, but it just looks so much better and it makes me want to pull it out on the table a lot more than the previous one. So Camelot makes my number 2. And my number 1 game that I've warmed up to, yes, this one, this is kind of similar to the Star Realms one, except it was a bit lower down before, because I thought, look, it's okay, but I have a game here that I much prefer to play than this one, because I can get it done in a game night, no matter how many players, and it still gives me a similar feeling. I just thought this one was just way too long, especially with 2 players even. 2 players and I'm still taking 4 hours to play this game. It's too long. Why does everybody go mad for this one? And it looks horrible as well. Until, not only did the 4th edition of this game come out, which made it look a lot better and streamlined the rules and stuff, but it was still too long. But the app propels this to number 1. Through the ages has really gone up in my expectations. It almost made my top 100 by the app alone. And like I say, I include app games with my games I play, because if an app can do it so well that you don't need the tabletop version, then blimey, it deserves some credit. Now, I love playing a tabletop version as well. And if somebody said, right, we know how to play Through the Ages, we can handle the bookkeeping quick, do you fancy playing the 4th edition version, the nice one from Czech Game Editions? I'd be like, maybe. If I've got the time and I feel like playing Through the Ages, I'd be like, cool. But that app, oh my God. I mean, that has saved my bacon so many times on domestic flights or being stuck at airports waiting for delayed flights and that. I mean, I took it to my tablet to Tabletop Scotland, and the flight is only about an hour or 5 minutes or something, or less than that even, to get to Southampton to Edinburgh. And I didn't even finish the game from the time we took off to when we were landed. I hadn't finished the game I was playing. And I know some people are like, well, hang on, I could do it in 20 minutes. Yeah, I want to think about my turns, mate. Not just simply go bip, 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 and not think. It's like, no, I'm not rushing it. I'm thinking. Also, I think somebody told me there was some bug with the app where for some people on the platform, if you put the AI on fast, it instantly makes it your turn next. Whereas on my tablet and a few other people's, it kind of goes through it in fast motion, but it still takes about 15-20 seconds to actually go through multiple AI turns. I don't know if that's a thing, or maybe somebody was lying about it being instant. I don't know, but come on, you gotta get the AI to go for their turn on fast AI, and it still will take about 45 minutes to an hour for me to finish a game. But I love it. It is great. The expansion has come out and I really can't wait to actually get a chance to play it, because obviously I need the time to play it when I'm not traveling. But more cards, more wonders and leaders, fantastic. That's exactly what the game needed. But even without that, a game that I just wanted to avoid because it was far too long, and the one that I poked at here was Nations, which I still like. I still like Nations, and I might even, I don't know, I think I still prefer it to Through the Ages, but like I say, they're more neck and neck now than they ever once were. Both of them feel a bit different though in some respects. That one's got workers, and Through the Ages is more focused on the cards and military stuff. So they're different enough to own both. But Through the Ages was really down there at one point because I just thought it was too long and convoluted with fiddliness bookkeeping. And granted, the bookkeeping is not exactly, streamlined in the 4th edition, although it is better. But the fact that the app handles it all for you just makes me able to enjoy Through the Ages for what it is. A fun, card-based civilization game. And when I get to play it like that, I then appreciate it a lot more. And now I really like it. I mean, I would play it online if I had more of the time, but I still love playing it against the AI, doing the challenge modes. It looks gorgeous, it's seamless, the app has rarely, if ever, done anything wrong. It's so well good. It's one of the, I think I put it number 1 on my top 10 board game apps list, I think I did a while back, and it is that good. It is possibly the best port of a board game ever to an app. There's no doubting it. I can't think of anything that comes remotely close. So, this had to make the number 1 on this list because I probably wouldn't have touched it before, and now it's almost top 100 material. And that's pretty good going. I know Feast for Odin is in my top 100, but it was already kind of pipping it, and it wasn't a huge jump. But this one was pretty big leap, and enough to make it almost touched my top 100, and maybe next year it will, depending on how many more players I get of it. I'm not going to own the tabletop version because I just don't see the point. I've got nations, and again, it's so hard to get it to the table, but I don't know. Here's a nice addition, though. Maybe if it goes on discount sale, because not a lot of people are buying it or something, maybe I would buy it then, I don't know. It's like I say, I'm tempted. You know, for the game to do that, I've definitely warmed up to it a lot more than I did before. I was cold, now I'm pretty hot on it. So, Through the Ages, my number 1. And for the Patreon choice, there was quite a few interesting ones, but one made the cut more than once. And to be fair, this actually works because a lot of people have warmed up to this game. And there are still some people who hate this game with a passion. That's fine. We all like different games. I mean, I've just spent the last 45 minutes to an hour talking about games that I pretty much hated, and now I'm not too bad, and I still have a lot of negative stuff to say about them despite this. But I can understand why people aren't a fan of this game. It's not for everybody. People thought it was going to be a massive combat fest. It is not. People didn't quite get the hype it received, and granted, no game deserves as much hype as this. But, yeah. Scythe. Scythe was the Patreon choice. You know, a couple of my Patreons had basically said that they'd warmed up to Scythe over the years, and a lot of people I know have done the same. You know, they weren't as big of a fan. Even Tom Vassell was like that. You know, he played it and thought, this is okay, and now it's in his top 100. You know, he has warmed up to it a lot more, particularly with the expansions like that Fenris one, which was really good. I mean, that gives you a lot more variety in the game. But even base Scythe, I still really love this game with, you know, but more expansions, the airships, the the expansion, special, encounter cards. They're really good. You know, they introduced some really weird effects and a lot more interesting than the original encounter cards. They came in a small box. Seriously, if you get a chance to buy that pack, do so. It will really, make the game more interesting. But, the port to the app is pretty sweet as well. You know, it's not perfect, but it's pretty decent. And again, I just quite like, and I like the Steam version as well. That's pretty sweet. But yeah, Scythe for me was always like a top 10 game for me. I mean, I still love Scythe. Maybe it will hit my top 20 over time. I don't know. Will I cool down on it? But for now, I'm loving it. You know, I still love to play Scythe. It's just so elegant, so smooth, a nice blend, a hybrid blend of Euro mechanics and some Amer Thrashy, combat-y stuff. You know, and it's deterministic. It's not like you're rolling a die or anything. But certainly the expansions have helped. But I can understand this. Yeah, you know, a lot of people I know some people I know aren't a fan of Scythe at all. That's fine. Some others started off not being a fan, but then we got them to play it a couple more times, and they didn't necessarily love it, but they were like, no, you know what, this is cool. I know I go into it with a different mindset, and, I'm not expecting it to be combat heavy and all this, and I appreciate it a lot more. But I do have to calm them down a little bit by saying, look, it got too much hype. All of Stonemaier stuff gets too much hype. No game deserves as much hype as Stonemaier games and Gloomhaven and all that lot get. Although, I'd argue Gloomhaven doesn't deserve a huge amount anyway. But, oh my god, so no, sacrilege. But, certainly, yeah, Wingspan and Scythe and, Tapestry, I bet. Tapestry, I don't even know what it's like. I've ordered it, but I probably won't get my copy until November time. So I will review it, but it's probably going to be a late one, and by that point there'll be lots of other people who have reviewed it, so by all means, check out their content to find out now. But I look forward to it. But I'm not going, oh my god, it's a Stonemaier game, I must play it. It's like, I'm like, okay, this looks pretty cool, I want to play it. And that was the same with Scythe. I'm like, this looks pretty cool, the artwork's nice, I want to play it. But I wasn't like, oh my god, oh, it's amazing. And when I played it, I'm like, I love this game. But why did they get all that hype? So even I have to temper my expectations a little bit. But yep, for a lot of people, Scythe was a bit of a slow burn. I can totally understand why some Patreons were a bit like that, and it makes this list as the Patreon choice. Was there any others on my list for honourable mentions? I considered Lisboa, because Lisboa was a bit of a slow burn for me, although I kind of liked it when I first played it, but it just took ridiculously long, and you have to take a history lesson to actually learn the game, which I was a bit like, really? Because who the hell cares? This guy's a king, this guy's a noble, whatever, I don't care. It's just the same generic, nobles and lordships and stuff like that, type thing again. But there was more to Lisboa than meets the eye, and I do love the mechanics in it. The mechanics in it are great, hence it's on my top 100, and hence it's on my shelf. But it probably would have been maybe an 11 or 12. I wasn't willing to stick it in there. Jamaica, I thought I'd warmed up to it at first, but nah, I'm still not a massive fan of Jamaica. It's just too random, it's just too chaotic at times, particularly with too many players. And, you know, if you start off bad, it's difficult to pull back. You have to reach the end. Like, basically, the winner of the game is always the person who comes in first or second in the race. It's never anybody else. And it just like, yeah, just not desperate for it, really. What else we have? Century Spice Road. I was ho-hum on it to begin with. I'm still ho-hum on it now. I'll play it, fine. New Road is pretty decent. You know, I don't mind Spice Road. I don't particularly like Eastern Wonders, but it didn't really change much for me. As I kind of like just thought, yeah, it's okay. Splendor is much better. Okay, sacrilege. But, you know, I still will this day defend Splendor as being better than Century Spice Road. So, yeah, it's just the way I feel. Zolkin. Yeah, I wrote that down quick, but I kind of dismissed it quick because I thought, you know what, I do like Zolkin. Zolkin is a pretty sweet game. I just don't ever see it played very much. I just don't have a massive desire to play it, but I still respect it for being a pretty good game. Just never really hated it to begin with, to be honest. Kemet. I had to go in with a different mindset on my first couple of games. Like, you cannot turtle in this game. You can't even sit back and watch other people fight, and you really can't care about the white power crystal either. You have to go blue or red or massive black with the expansion. You have to go aggressive to get the points. You will not be able to sit back and use the white tree to your advantage. It just isn't going to happen. With that mindset, I enjoy it a little bit more, but, you know, I was kind of average on it before. I'm kind of average on it now. Stone Age, I gave it respect to begin with because it's not my favourite gateway game ever, but I gave it respect for being a good gateway game, and I still do, so not much had changed. For some reason I wrote Star Realms twice on here, I'm not sure why. And the last one was Coimbra, which I'm not sure why I wrote that. I think I was running out of ideas at that point because I liked Coimbra fine. It was a 7 when I first played it, and I still think it's a 7 now. It's on my shelf in the other room. I played it at Tabletop Scotland, actually. I taught 3 new people how to play it. I thought, I've not played Coimbra in a while. I could do with the rules revision. So I quickly skimmed through the rulebook, taught all 3 of them. We had a great game. I think I creamed them in points, which is kind of the way with new players in Coimbra, particularly as if you are able, like I did, to get away with munchkining the purples and just do monastery runs, you're pretty much unbeatable. That is easily my most powerful of the 4 trees. But I was just getting a lot of purple stuff, and the stuff on the monastery trail was actually pretty lucrative. So, you know, maybe that's just playing against new players. But I liked Coimbra. I still like Coimbra, even if the expansion, dice tray thing, was a massive cash grab. But, oh well, that seems to be a thing, actually. Oh well, like I say, there's some choices there. This was a hard list to come up with 10, I admit. But there were a few that kind of rocketed to the top 5 of the list pretty easily, like Brass and Terraforming Mars and Through the Ages, where I'm like, oh yeah, these ones definitely were there instantly. But then Camelot and Feast for Odin and Star Realms kind of featured in as well, and it's like, oh yeah, these ones as well. But yeah, this was quite a tricky one. But hopefully this was a nice mix of good and bad thoughts about various games. And hopefully the fact that I might have hated some of your favourite games before, and now I'm like, you know what, I give it respect. Hopefully that pleases you. Even if a lot of the negative comments I still said don't. But, well, we all like different games. That's the whole point. So hopefully you got a bit of yin and a bit of yang from this one. So the next one, though, is going to be a much more positive list. Fully, it is going to be my top 10 hidden gems. I believe that is, yep, I've got it. It's already ranked. I just need to record the video. And I'm looking forward to this one, actually, because hidden gems are coming out of the woodwork a lot more now because there's so many games being released. You miss some completely, and then out of nowhere you find this little gem that's like, this is actually a really solid game and more people need to know about it. Not quite the same as underrated games, but I have my own reasons and caveats for how the list is done. You'll have to wait and see. So that's it for now. I'll see you on the next Broken Meeple video, review, top 10, solo play, whatever. If you like what you see, please subscribe to the channel. And if you want to help me out, then by all means subscribe to the Patreon channel, even if it's just $1 a month. If 1,000 of you donated $1 every month, this channel would be able to leap light years in terms of technology and equipment and stuff. But like I say, covering my overheads at the moment so the channel can still go strong to this day, but I appreciate everything you guys do, whether you're a Patreon, a viewer, a contributor, a fellow reviewer, fellow content creator, or just somebody who's active in the comments, because I like reading what you have to say on my comments all the time. So take care, see you next time, and So take care, have a nice day, and remember, as always, it's only a game.